Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hoops and Horses. This episode for Saturday, February 1st, 2025. I'm CC Broadus, and welcome to the show. I want to introduce my cohorts today. Or is it cohorts? It's cohorts, not cohort. Cohorts. Dan Cronin from FatBallGuyRacing.com. Say hello, Dan.
How you guys doing?
And Trey Server, who has just delivered a suppository to a thoroughbred.
That's exactly right. I just got off the clock.
All right, good deal. All right. Congratulations to Dan. It wasn't on the show, but it was on his sheet. He loved White Abario last week, and my dumbass tried to go against him. But Dan loved White Abario. You had to buy the sheet to figure it out, but it was that was a good call by you, and I think you cashed on it pretty good, didn't you?
Yeah, I clocked the pick four really well. So I was happy with the price. I mean, it paid almost 600 for 50 cents. So yeah, it was a nice score.
Yeah, not bad at all. And we're going to dive into things here. Let's talk about the weather on Saturday. We're just going to cover Gulfstream this weekend. Gulfstream, it looks like it's going to be another beautiful weekend as usual, partly cloudy, 79 degrees. And yeah, just Chamber of Commerce weather in Hollandale Beach, Florida. All right, now let's get into the action. Before we do, let's take a time out so you can hear more from FatBallGuyRacing.com. All right, welcome back to Hoops and Horses. We've got 6 races we want to cover at Gulfstream Park. First, we're going to go to race number 2. 7 furlongs on the dirt, maiden special weight. These are for state bred, Florida state breds. And interested to hear what Dan's got to say because he's taking a horse that I would not have considered against I would call the big two here. So Dan with a contrarian play, I think. Tell us some more about your horse here.
Yeah, this is more. I was just watching replays like I always do and watching workouts, and I saw this horse, Sorcerer Silver, on the workout, and I was like, whoa. I mean, this is a heavy-headed, big, strong-looking sucker. So I just watched the second workout and I was like, wow, I mean, who in the world is this? And I went back and I saw Dale Romans and went, I don't know. I don't usually trust Dale Romans with first time starters. But then I saw West Point Thoroughbred was the owners. I know those guys. So I called, uh, had a good conversation. And I mean, they're expecting big things out of this horse. So they would not usually tell me that if they were not fully invested that they think this horse can run. And, I know what I saw. And then I saw, well, it's a Florida bred race. So you're not getting all the heavy heads, right? I mean, it's a little bit restricted. You got a perfect post. And then I look over and think, wait a minute, I read Ortiz rode this horse. He wasn't working this horse because I watched the works. So somehow between Romans, West Point, and Irad's agent, they all got together and he chose this horse because he could have probably ridden anybody in the race or just sat it out. He doesn't have to ride every race. So this horse has to have some gas. And then when I look at the rest of the field, yeah, he's a beast we all bet on last time. I bet on this horse last time and he had no excuse. He ranged up like he was going to win and then he faded. So I don't know how good he's a beast is. I know he's going to be 3 to 5. And Caracas is probably. I thought Caracas would be the second choice. I'm actually shocked that he's 9 to 2. I think he'll probably go off 5 to 2. And those are the two horses to beat. So I'm thinking, even though the morning line's 5 to 2, which was very disappointing, maybe somebody else knows something. I still think we're going to get 3 or 4 to 1 on this Dale Romans, and I'll take that as a single in a pick 5 any day of the week if I can get that kind of price.
Dale Romans teaming up with Arad Ortiz Jr. They've only done it one time in the last 365 days, and that was a winner. So Dale Roman's not one to tug on Superman's cape. And yeah, so looking forward to that race. We'll see what Dale's got with Sorcerer Silver. Okay, moving right along. Now we're going to fast forward a few races. We're going to get into race number 7. This is a 1 mile race on the dirt. That's a 1 turn mile at Gulfstream. Optional claiming, a other than, and Trey lands on the rail here. Looks like we're chalking out, Trey.
Well, I apologize. I did not see the morning line before I made these selections. So, yeah, River Thames is my top selection. Beat a horse called Vanderbilt, who we were told on Twitter was a gorilla. He rolled right on by that horse and opened up. Todd Pletcher and John Velasquez come back for this mount. And I think this horse has real potential. Not running in any of the big stakes races yet, but I think they're going to stretch him out, and he's going to win here and move on. If you were looking for a horse maybe underneath, since that is a chalk, the 3-horse Super Times won first out on the grass for Mark Casse. If he can take to the dirt, I think this horse has a chance to pick up the pieces. Came home in 11 flat, which is very strong. And Casse usually doesn't win first out. So if you're looking for an alternative to the favorite who I like, number 3 would be my second pick there.
Yeah, that rail horse for Pletcher ran a 94 buyer first out. That is racehorse. That's a racehorse figure for a first starter.
You would have thought based on the time the horse kind of picked up the pieces, but this horse was right there and just rolled right on by. So big future for this one.
I'm really curious what they try to do with this horse, because he is not bred at all to go to Kentucky Derby distance. I mean, he is sprint, and more sprint. So I'd be shocked if he stretches out much past a mile. But I mean, if he's good, he'll win this race. But the rail's always tricky.
Yes, agreed.
McLean's Music did sire a Preakness winner, but that's kind of an outlier.
Yeah.
Most of the McLean's Music runners are sprinters, and Discreet Cat I think much of it. But they knew that horse was going to run, because he was bet down to 5-2 into Vanderbilt, who was just, everybody knew about Vanderbilt, and this horse took a ton of money into that horse. So yeah, this horse has probably got some talent. Looking forward to see what he can do in the future. All right, now we're getting into the stakes action. Race number 9, and this is the Swale Stakes at 7 furlongs, named after the 1984 Kentucky Derby and Belmont Stakes winner. Dan, let's go to you. I think you're up next here.
Yeah.
Well, both of you landed on the same horse, so let's see. We'll go to Dan first.
I was mad we couldn't see a workout on this horse. They say there's a workout, but then when you go to XBTV, it won't pull up. So I don't know what if I was just doing something wrong, but I could not. I tried on my phone and my computer, could not see it. But when I went back and watched the replay of this race that he won, first of all, don't forget it was at the fairgrounds. It was not at Gulfstream. They don't go 21 and change, 44 and change very often at the fairgrounds. They just don't. Now, Gulfstream, it happens a lot. It's a different surface. So when I see 109 and 4 at the fairgrounds on a horse that did not have the lead, got dogged all the way around with another horse and drew away late, that tells me the horse has fight, the horse has stamina, and he's a gun runner. Gun runners always get better as they go longer and get older. So it don't surprise me that they waited so long to unveil him, late December, because he's a gun runner. So I think he's probably going to win this race and then go right into the Florida Derby, but we'll see. I mean, I know Cox is very high on this horse. He thinks he's one of his 2 or 3 chances to run in the Derby, and I'd be shocked. I don't think he'll go to the lead, even with Saez on him. I think the 7's faster early, and I think Saez is going to take a hold of him and let Donut God and Grayscale go and just see if he can sit, because he sat pretty decent last time. They went fast, but he was sitting and relaxing. I think he'll be fine sitting third, or if he's just that good and goes to the lead, then he does. But they're going to have a tough time beating this gunmetal horse, I think.
Yeah, I agree
Trey?
with you. I think Donut God's going to the lead, and I agree the 7's going to be right there, and the 5 is or the 6 is going to swoop them both.
What's your impression of Donut God? This was the horse at Churchill that was all the rage. 7-5 when he broke his maiden in his first start. I don't think he beat a whole lot though. El Prestigio still has yet to break his maiden in 2 starts. Is this horse maybe a little bit overrated?
I
Well,
think so.
El Prestigio's taken 5 starts now to beat his to break his maiden, so
Yeah, and
I
I
bet that
didn't think
horse every time.
that race at Tampa to me wasn't much either. Um, but we could be wrong. They did go in 109. I'm not big on time, but I mean they did go in 109. So I know he's fast. How long he'll carry it against good horses, I don't think he's proven that yet. And he's going to have two really nice horses hounding him on the outside. So I'd be shocked if Donut God hits the board.
Oh wow. Okay. There's your chance to turn a short price into a nice profit there. So yeah, there you go. Let's turn the page, go from the Swale Stakes to race number 10, and this is the Kitten's Joy Stakes. And this is a mile and 16th on the grass for 3-year-olds, straight 3-year-olds. And I do believe, yep, this is Dan again. So let's talk about your horse here, Dan.
And I just saw the morning line on this horse. I think they're reading our stuff before they're doing the morning lines, guys. I mean, what is going on? I thought this horse be 4 or 5 to 1. I like Tiz Dashing, but I thought a Barkley tag, Saratoga Stables, coming in from New York, hasn't run since October. I thought for sure he'd be 4 to 1 in here, and maybe he will be, but I know they really like this horse way back first time out, and I know he run a really solid race. He did kind of hang late, and then he did it again in the Awad, so that makes me nervous. But if I get an okay price, I think he's got a world of talent. I think Tiz Dashing's got tactical speed. He doesn't have to be far back. He's going on that fast turf there. He's going to be able to sit, 2, 3 lengths off and make his run. He's not going to have to launch from way back, and he's going to get targets to run at too. I mean, the two Charlie to Blame's got some speed from California. Walking in Memphis is going to go to the lead probably. Um, that outside horse, me, Bago's got speed. So, I mean, he should be able to sit right in that pocket about fourth and go before Test Score, who to me is the main horse in here, and I thought would be the morning line favorite. But I guess they were all afraid of that Delmar stuff. But he did win at Keeneland. So, I mean, that's the other horse. But I like Tiz Dashing. That's going to be my focus in those last 5 races. I'm going to really try to nail doubles and some pick threes and then play the pick 4 and 5. But I think there's real quality horses in the eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th that you can just try to nail those doubles and not have to worry about 4 and 5 races. Just nail it, take your couple hundred, and move on to the next one.
Moving right along. Now, this is a feature race, a Kentucky Derby points race. It's the Holy Bull Stakes at a mile and 16th. Now we're going 2 turns, $265,000 purse. And uh, Ferocious, who last race in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile finished fifth. He was the talking horse all last fall. It seems like after he broke his maiden, but he never punched through again. But now he tries to get back on the Kentucky Derby trail, and Trey wants to beat him. What do you got here, Trey?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
Trey and
so
I
I
completely disagree here. So go ahead, Trey.
okay, yeah. So I read online on bloodhorse.com that Delgado Gustavo Jr. said that Ferocious was only about 75 or 80% cranked for this race. So I don't expect him to actually win this race, and I don't think they do either. The 3 was Tappan Street or Tappan Street for Brad Cox. If you watch the replay on that race, that horse looked dead in the water and then came back to win. I'm against that horse as well. In this race, I liked Guns Loaded. That was the horse I liked in the Mucho Macho Man. The mile was barely getting there. This extra distance may be a problem as well. But on the same article, they really like this horse, and they've switched Irad, which I'm a little confused because Louise is on this race as well, back on the 3 horse. I know Dan likes another horse in this race. I don't know if he wants me to tell who it is or not. Uh, but he is not like I said, he doesn't like my horse. But if I was playing Guns Loaded for me, he's going to go lay off the pace maybe a little bit if the one or there's another speed horse in here. The 1 or the 6 don't go, or I'm sorry, the 7 don't go. I think he'll sit right off of them, and I'm hoping he can win and go from here. He's gonna, if he can get there, he go to the Florida Derby and then to the Kentucky Derby from there. So that's where I'm going to lay with Guns Loaded.
Well,
What?
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, Guns Loaded's a little strange for me because the breeding suggests he should love going longer and longer and longer. But in that Gulfstream race, he sure didn't look like he wanted any further at all after just jogging along in 24 and change. And I mean, 2 or 3 more steps, he was beat. And so when I saw the morning line 5-2, I was a little shocked there that they put him 5-2. But I think Ferocious is the best horse. Now, whether he's ready or not, that part I don't know. But I love the fact they're going to blinkers uh, because when you watch his replays, he runs in spots. He's a goofball. I mean, he's one of them horses that just is got all this talent and has no idea what he's doing yet. He runs and then he stops and then it's like, oh wait, I'm supposed to run, and then he takes off again. And he did the same thing in the Breeders' Futurity, where he looked just dead in the water. He was just kind of treading water, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, I'm supposed to run now, and he just like took off and ended up second instead of fading out of it like it looked like he was going to be last. And then in the Breeders' Cup it was the same way. He was sitting fine mid pack, and all of a sudden he went all the way back to 10th, and he wasn't running, and Castellano was like, what is going on? And he was hitting him and doing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden he took off again and passed half the field. So I don't know what's going on with him. I just think the blinkers should make a world of difference, and I think he's got a world of talent. Now, Tappan Street, if you watch that workout, I don't know if you guys remember who he worked against. He worked against Patch Adams. And when you watch that work, he outworked Patch Adams. Now, that probably should have told us not to bet on Patch Adams last week at a short price, but this one drew away from Patch Adams. I mean, he put him away. He, I know he looked dead in the water, and that first race was kind of okay, I guess. But if he makes the lead, now did Saez choose this horse? We don't know. Did he say to Cox, I want him instead of Guns Loaded? Did Guns Loaded enter late and he had already committed? We don't know that kind of stuff. But I just keep staring at why did Saez take this horse over Guns Loaded? I don't know. But I know he's going to be up on the pace. I know the 3 and 4, Guns Loaded and Tappan Street, are going to be flying. So my long shot in there that I think's got a huge chance to win is Burnham Square. I know it's an off the wall horse. He's probably going to be 7, 8-1 because those 3 favorites are going to take all the money, and he's going to drift up. I bet on this horse last time, and I think he really wants 2 turns to sit back, blast home, and if they go too fast up front, and the goofball Ferocious is goofing around and isn't ready, like Trey said, he's only 70%. If he's not ready, you better have Burnham Square on your tickets. And he'll be on every one of my tickets in the pick fours, the doubles, the pick threes. I just can't go on. I can't not take him after what I saw last time.
What about number 6, Burning Glory, a son of Into Mischief for Juddmonte, and it's Bill Mott. That this horse beat the Warden last time at Churchill. I think that was on closing day. They were a mile ahead of third. On Thoroughgraph, that was as quick a number as anything in here. but it came out of nowhere. His first two races on Thoroughgraph were really slow, and then you look at his buyers, and they don't really stack up. But the effort was really impressive. Now, the horse he beat, the Warden, came back to run at Oaklawn in a field I thought was very weak, and he finished off the board.
Oh,
So I don't know what to do with this horse. I thought he could move forward. He could be a contender in here. But there are some, like, I assume it comes down to price. I mean, if I would take 8-1 more than I would 5-2 on the horse.
I can't
All
blame you.
right,
I think this is the race you want to take a couple of them and pick threes and stuff like that. I don't think this is a race you want to single anybody.
right.
Yeah, you guys got to be talking to all now.
All right, let's go to race number 12. I believe this is the last race on a really nice card. This is another stakes. It's the Forward Gal Grade 3, 7 furlongs for 3-year-old fillies. And I believe Trey is up next.
Yeah, so on this race, to be quite honest, I see a lot of horses that I really liked. I like Stunner, who was trying to go gate to wire and got run down by my Denisi at a big odds, and that horse is back in here too. I ultimately ended up picking number 7, Eclatant. Won the first two races and then came back in the grade 2 Goldenrod. Was right up there at the top of the stretch, and a even better Cox horse and Quiet Side ran right on by. Ended up fading to third, beaten by 8 lengths. Now they've given this horse some time off. Louis Size picks up the mount. I like the way the horse is training, and I think he's going to sit a good trip. Again, I apologize. I don't know the price, so if she's chalky, I don't think I can take that short of a price.
9-2.
9-2, really good
Okay.
price.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I'd take 9-2. So who did they make favorite in this race then?
It's a shock to me. They made a horse I never considered favored, the 9, Rojo Rita. At
Oh,
no point did I consider that filly at all.
Isn't that some love for Safi though?
that's
That
that's
Safi's
that's the horse that won by 16 lengths.
It's got to be the love for Safi and the fact that all the Saturday only players are going to come and see 16 lengths and all just run and bet. That's all I can think of.
well, Safi is he just won a race at Gulfstream a few minutes ago with a really nice filly. That's you're probably gonna pay a Safi tax if you bet his horses from now on. So Eclatant might be is interesting, I would think. So
Yeah, definitely interesting in my book because there's a ton of speed in there and she's going to be able to sit back a little bit and blast home. And I mean, she won two nice races at Churchill and Keeneland. So, I mean, the Goldenrod, I just think, she just, like a lot of them, wasn't ready to go a distance, as a 2-year-old filly. And, she got pressured all the way. And Good Cheer's a really nice horse. And Quiet Side's a nice horse. So it didn't surprise me she stopped in there.
Stunner's another one in there I like. Daughter of Gervin, turning back from a mile and 16th, and she reeled off two nice wins in New York. But
What's Thoroughgraph say about her and her pattern? Because that buyer makes no sense to me. She runs 76, 86, 89, and then she's 4 in front and gets nailed, and she ran a 59. That just
right,
is really strange to me.
7 lengths clear of the third horse. I don't have Thoroughgraph for this race. I got him from
Okay.
Steve Bick by email. I only got 2 races this week, so that one race was the Holy Bull was one of them. But I don't have anything on this race. But I'm with you. That can't be right. But I think this filly maybe figures on the turn back for Gaffney on. But
What are the odds on the 3 horse?
8-1. That's another one. Here's
So,
Ian Wilkes moving a horse up off of a maiden special weight disc DQ win.
yeah,
And this is a strange move by Wilkes. So he must have some confidence in this Ghost Zapper filly. I
that
think
horse looked really nice on the track first out. Got taken
She's
out at the end, Barrett.
she's working with Burnham Square that's running in the other stake for Wilkes. They work together.
wow. All right. Real quick, I'll ask both of you in the we covered the last 4 races here in this Gulfstream card. What's your strongest opinion? Who would you lean on in this sequence?
I would lean on gunmetal
What
in the
about you,
ninth.
Craig? Same way?
I would probably have to say that since we land on the same horse, I would have to say the same thing because I liked Guns Loaded, but you kind of talked me off of him. I would say Guns Loaded for me, but now I'd probably have to
Guns
go a little
loaded
deeper.
is Guns loaded is very dangerous if he gets on a loose lead. I really believe that. I think that horse has a bright future. But yeah, the way he ran last time makes you wonder if he wants to go this far. But
He hit the rail in the stretch too, which was kind of weird, and then kind of took off again. So I don't know what was going on.
they can get him to switch off and just relax early. I think he's going to be a better horse. You know, if he wants to go balls to the wall, that's a problem as
Yes.
the increase. But
Yeah.
all right, let's switch gears. Now we're going to talk about some college basketball. We're getting closer and closer to March Madness. And I think, let's see, the first game we want to talk about, Florida travels to Knoxville to play Tennessee. Tennessee has thrown in some clunkers this year. They looked surprisingly normal, I think, against Kentucky the other day. So, what are you thinking here now, Dan?
Yeah, if they had a brutal loss right before then, it was it the Auburn? Yeah, it was the Auburn at Auburn where they had the game in hand and got some really weird, funky no calls to cost them the game. And then they were awful against Kentucky. They attempted 44 three-pointers for a college team. That is just ridiculous. So I'm sure Barnes is going to go back to the drawing board and say, "Look, guys, this is ridiculous. We're not doing this." They're in a must win. They have to win for their seeding for the SEC championship to have any chance for seeding in the SEC tournament. If they want to keep a 1, 2, 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, you can't lose at home to Florida. And I think they're going to come out a desperate team after losing two in a row. And they know that they played awful against Kentucky. They're not going to do that again. They're going to buckle down and they're going to guard the hell out of Florida. And I think they'll beat Florida somewhere in that 7 to 10 area. And I think the spread will be somewhere around 3, maybe a little more than that, but it shouldn't be too much more, according to Ken Palm at least. I think it's going to be somewhere under 5.
Ziegler was 1 for 11 from the 3-point line.
Yeah, it was awful. I think he's like 2 for 30 or something. He's struggling right now. He's got to
Yes, he
get
is.
back. That's crazy for a guy as good as he is.
All right, and last game we want to talk about, another great game, another great SEC tilt. Auburn travels to Ole Miss to play the Rebels. What
I
we got
keep
here?
I keep thinking that Auburn at some point has to go through a rut. Every team goes through a rut. You can't just look great every single game. And they had a little rut there against Tennessee. I mean, it was a low 50s game on their home court where they usually score 80 or 90 points. So now they go to Ole Miss. Of course, it's going to be Ole Miss's game of the century. They're gonna be screaming and yelling, and the place is gonna go bananas. And Beard's gonna have them ready, and they've got a couple really good players for Ole Miss. I think this game's going right to the buzzer. I really do. I think it's going to be tied with 5 minutes to go, and it's going to be just one of them games that if Auburn lets down at all, Ole Miss could win this game. And I think we're going to get somewhere in the 6 area. If I'm at home in one of these type of games in the SEC and I can get 6 points, and I think Auburn might let down a little bit because they've played such high profile teams, and Ole Miss, even though they're ranked, they're not some team that you get all hyped up to play. Auburn's getting hyped up to play Tennessee and Kentucky and Alabama. They go to Ole Miss. I think they're going to have a little bit of tired legs, and they're going to be looking forward to the rest of the games, and patting themselves on the back about how good they are. And I think they could be into a buzz saw on Saturday.
You want to talk about a lull or a rut that Auburn might hit? Check out this the last 6 games of their schedule. They play Alabama on the road, Arkansas and Georgia at home, and then Ole Miss comes back to Auburn for a return game, and then you play Kentucky on the road, Texas A&M on the road, which is a very difficult place to play, and you get Alabama at home. That's that is as tough a schedule as you
Right.
could possibly want, and
So
that is
if
that.
those kids are looking at that schedule at all, they're not worried about Saturday. They're looking ahead, going, "Oh man, whoo," you know that. I think this could be a dangerous trap game for them.
If Auburn runs the table, they should get the 1 seed this year and next year.
Yeah. Well, and you know what's not fair, and it's going to happen. We can all see it coming because Duke is Duke, and they overseed them every year for 25 years. They give them every benefit of the doubt. You know they're going to be the number one overall seed. You know it because they don't play anybody the rest of the year. The ACC is terrible. I mean, it's terrible. You got North Carolina, who's not any good. You got Louisville, who's been good since they got to the ACC, but they weren't that good in the non-conference. I mean, Kentucky beat them. Other teams beat them that aren't very good. And then they get to the ACC and they look like they're the greatest team in history. So Clemson's okay, but the rest of them teams are not any good. So Duke's going to cakewalk all the way through. They're going to end up like 31-3 or something, and you know they're going to give them the 1 seed. You know it, and so they're going to end up on the East Coast the whole time. I think the regionals in Madison Square. I'm not positive on that, but they're going to end up in the East. They're going to end up in the East Regional, and so whoever the best team is in the SEC is going to have to be in the South, which most of them want to be, but you're not going east. So Auburn, Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, they're all fighting for that number one in the South because you don't want to go west. You don't want to end up with UCLA and Gonzaga and Arizona and all those teams out west playing them in LA. You don't want that.
Right, absolutely. Oh gosh, it should be a lot of fun though. Got a lot of big games coming up, so looking forward to every single one of them. All right, we got to
Hey,
cut it
you
short.
forgot about the best. You forgot about the best game of the night. Coach Cal comes back to Kentucky on Saturday night.
I
Oh my
hope I
God.
hope they don't boo him. I really do. And I'm not a big Cal guy. I just hope he's done so much for college basketball and for Kentucky. He got all them players there. They won a national title. It was a mutual thing. It's not like he did anything wrong. They wanted him gone. He knew it, so he looked for a job and he left. So I would think they should show respect and cheer for him. We'll see. We'll see what the 23,000 do, but I
Well,
agree, Trey. I think it's a neat game.
they've got a if you're listening to Kentucky Sports Radio, they did a poll, and they did if you would cheer, if you would be silent, or if you would clap. I think it was about 40% said they would be quiet, 40% said they would boo, 20% said that they would cheer. So I would project that they're going to boo him when he comes in there on Saturday night.
I think that's the wrong thing to do, but it's just me, I guess. But I was mad what Providence did to Ed Cooley. I mean, Ed
Yeah,
Cooley has kept Providence relevant for 15 years. He's a class individual. I mean, once you're at a school 10, 15 years, everybody knows it's time to, they want something new. You want something new. It's time to, move on. And so he took the Georgetown job. So what? I mean, they treated him like dirt. I mean, they booed him. They threw stuff on the floor. It was an embarrassment to Providence College for me at least. And I hope Kentucky doesn't do that. Those fans are way better than that. I think they're the best fans.
I just hope they win.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd be shocked if Kentucky didn't win, but um, who knows? Arkansas will be playing for their coach, and they got a lot of former UK guys. So
Yeah, absolutely.
maybe they'll be looking for maybe Wagner will finally play.
So he hasn't been all year. That's probably why they're doing so poorly.
He's just might have been the most overrated number one player in the country I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's probably due to his dad.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. All
All
right,
right,
guys.
guys. All right,
I,
let's cut her short. Good luck to everybody this weekend. Hope somebody catches a big one at Gulfstream. Go to fatballguyracing.com. Go get your enemas with Trey Server, and see everybody next week. Until then, remember that gambling money ain't got no home.